Welcome, everybody. Good to be with you. I'm David Burns. Thanks for joining me this evening for another live stream. I'm pumped and excited to share with you some great stuff tonight. I see so many of you already chatting over in the comments section. And a big thank you for Jessica Fairfax. She's our host over there, keeping everything kind of sealed together good. You guys being welcomed by her for being with us tonight. And of course, Sherry, my wife, working the background, keeping it all together as well. So appreciate that. We're going to continue to build a team of people to help this live stream continue to be a very useful source for beekeepers to come together in what we call Beak Squad. All of us that are beekeepers squatting together to have a great time. We really do appreciate all of you so much. Thank you for tuning in tonight. Hope your day has gone well. We've had hot weather last week, cooled off toward last weekend, and it's been a really nice week. I've had a good time out in the hives, really cool. But hot weather coming this weekend for us here in Illinois, back in the 90s again. So some of those videos I made on how to keep your hive cool, you may want to drop back over there and look at those videos again if you're going to have a hot weekend, a hot week coming up ahead. We can still have hot weather. We're only about, 24 days, less, a little bit over 3 weeks until fall. Believe it or not, only about a little over 3 weeks left. I think it's 24 days left of summer. So summer is slipping out of our hands. It's leaving us. And remember, you can't wait forever to start thinking about how to overwinter your bees. That's important. Got to start doing that now. And so be thinking about if your colonies are strong enough to overwinter well and what you need to do. Maybe combine them, treat for mites, and make sure they're fed well. That's important too. So a lot of things going on for the beekeeper. You would think it wouldn't be, but this is a very busy time for all the beekeepers. I want to tell you about a few things coming up to kind of get you excited, get you pumped up and going, get you pumped up and excited about some things that are coming up. And so one of the things that's coming up will be next weekend, next Thursday during our live stream. We're going to have, next Thursday, we're going to have Dr. David Peck with us on September the 7th. And Dr. David Peck, a lot of you know him. If you were at Hive Life last year, he spoke out there. PhD, brilliant, worked under Tom Seeley. And we're looking forward to just having Dr. Peck on the program next Thursday night. That'd be a fun time of just sharing some good beekeeping information, talking, chatting. So be sure and set your calendars for that. And then the following Thursday, we have the Bee Informed Partnership. So we're going to have Eric. Eric and I have had a good time going to conferences, talking together. And he is also having one of his team members with him during that live stream as well. Her name is Anne Marie. She'll be with us. This is going to be a time when we will be collecting donations to help Bee Informed Partnership Organization. They do a lot of surveys, data collection on honeybees to make beekeeping better for all of us. So be sure and be ready to donate. Those funds are going to be matched. And so that will be a way to give them a little push because they exist off the donations of beekeepers. So that'll be coming up as well on September the 14th, I think, if my math is right. So we got a lot going on the live stream over the next 2 or 3 weeks. So that's going to be a fun time for all of us. Great time there. I want to tell you about a couple of books before I get into today's topic. Look at this book here. This is one of my favorite books. I probably haven't mentioned it a lot on a lot of my videos, but it's one of the go-to one of the go-to scientific books that I love to go to get information on beekeeping. I mean, it's not for the faint-hearted, brand new beekeeper that just wants to know very simple things about beekeeping. But if you want to dive in a little further, you're ready to know a lot more about beekeeping. Mark Winston's book, The Biology of the Honeybee, is where I go and get a lot of the information that it's documented. It's the citations are there for the studies that he mentions. Everything he mentions basically has a scientific citation to it. So this is a good resource if you're wanting to validate some of the things you've heard about honeybees. I would encourage you to get this book. I don't know what it costs, but It's well worth the investment. Another book that I recently got this week. Oh my gosh, look at this. Let's see. Got to memorize the title. It's so big. It's called The World History of Beekeeping and Honey Hunting. It's by Eva Crane. And this book, wow, it is a different kind of book. If you don't know Eva Crane, I think she was like a mathematician, and she got into beekeeping a little bit later in life. But this is a very, very interesting book. If you want to know a lot of history about beekeeping, not only here in the U.S., but beekeeping, all the little nuances of beekeeping and such from around the world, gosh, this book is very nice. So write that title down, The World History of Beekeeping and Honey Hunting by Eva Crane. It's a thick book. Look at that. It's big. So that's some things you can be looking forward to read this winter when it cools off and you can't get out and play in your bees anymore. So always like to recommend some stuff that you can read. A lot of good things out there for sure. Fun times tonight. I want to talk about, let me get my PowerPoint set up here. I want to talk to you tonight. I'm all the way at the wrong side of it here, going backwards. Okay, there we go. 4 things that took me 20 years to learn. So I call myself a 20-year overnight success. It took me 20 years to reach, if you want to call it success. I don't know what it is, but some level of like, I'm not having to work so hard. So that feels like success, I guess, in beekeeping. But this is something I want to share with you guys tonight. 4 things that took me 20 years to learn. Now, it may not be what you think. Are you ready? Take some notes, get some notes going here. It'll be good for you. All right. And then we're going to take some questions after I'm done. I started beekeeping in the early 90s. And the way I started was a beekeeper asked me if I'd be willing to help him take a hive out of a fallen branch off a tree. And so that's how I got started in beekeeping way back in the 90s. And we actually used a chainsaw to cut open that tree. And if you haven't heard the story, the beekeeper friend of mine says, now, I didn't know anything about beekeeping, by the way. He said, now, if you see me running, I want you to follow me. Now, you don't have to tell me that. I mean, if you take off running, I'm going to get ahead of you, right? It's kind of like the bear story. You don't have to outrun the bear. So, he said, it's going to be tough. I was all suited up. I didn't know a thing. I didn't know nothing about beekeeping at all. But those bees ate us up. I mean, they stung us and got after us something fierce. It took us several days to take the comb out of that fallen tree and kind of wire it or string it into some frames. And he basically built me a 10-frame hive that I was able to grow. And I lived in Ohio at the time. And boy, that hive was great. I lived in the middle of an Amish community. I wasn't Amish, but I lived over there. And that's where I got my feet wet in beekeeping. Back in the 90s, there was no internet. There was no beekeeping materials like we see today. And the amount of classes and teaching and books and all that we see today just wasn't there. Somebody threw an ABC XYZ at me from 1932 edition, and away I went in beekeeping, right? And back then, beekeepers were a little more kind of stingy with their information. They were afraid that maybe you'd steal their special honey spot. But that's how I got started the wrong way. You should never start that way. It's brutal, it's hard, it's rough. I think it's better to start with a 5-frame nucleus or a package of bees and take a beekeeping class first, get to know everything you can about bees before you jump into it. But back in the 90s, I got started and I'm glad I didn't wait until the right moment, the perfect moment when everything was the way I wanted it. So I want to say that the first thing I've learned over 20 years is if you wait for the right moment or the perfect moment, perfection, nothing's ever going to happen. You know why? It's because we're not perfect and we can't achieve perfection. And so a lot of times we put off things because things just aren't right. We want things to be better, perfect. A lot of people say, well, I'll do this when, and when never happens. I'll do this when I get around to it, whatever. An example of that is I always worked hard in thinking through how to have online beekeeping courses. For years, I thought about that. And I just kept trying to say, I want it to be this, I want it to be that, I want it to be perfect. I just kept going on and on. I put it off, I bet, for 6-8 years. They've been online a long time, maybe since 2016 or 17. But all the way before that, I couldn't get things perfected. And so the only way I was able to push forward and get it done was I realized I got to stop waiting on the perfect moment. I can't be perfect. So when is the right moment to start beekeeping? Maybe some of you happen to stumble on this live stream, or excuse me, maybe you're watching it after it's no longer live, but it's posted on YouTube, and you're watching it and you're wondering, when should I start beekeeping? You know, when I get a little more money, when I get a better house, a better place, whatever, kids get older, I retire, whatever. Well, you know, when is the right moment? You're going to always have a reason to say time isn't right. So sometimes you just have to jump into it. So the right moment for you in beekeeping might be 2024, next spring, if you're not rolling already. What about writing a book? When's the best time to write a book? Sherry and I, we always wanted to write a book in beekeeping because, you know, after you're in something a long time, you learn a lot. You want to share that knowledge with others. But we kept putting it off. And then finally, a publishing company approached us and said, would you write a book for us? And that really was the push, the catalyst to say, yeah, we can do that. When's the right time to start a YouTube channel on beekeeping? For a long time, there was only one or two of us on YouTube that had a YouTube channel on beekeeping. I believe that I am the oldest, longest running beekeeping channel on YouTube, until somebody can prove me wrong. I think Frederick Dunn is about the same time as me, but his earlier one started in chicken. So I think I got him beat by a few months. So, you know, you just got to jump in there and start doing something. People ask me, how can you put your face in front of a camera in front of hundreds, thousands of people and not feel intimidated, embarrassed? How do you deal with the criticism? How do you deal with making a mistake? Here's how you do it. You say, I'm not perfect. I make mistakes, but I'm going to make videos. People are going to criticize me, but I'm going to make a video. It doesn't matter. You just can't wait until things are perfect, because they'll never get to be perfect. That's one of the things I learned. By the way, talking about my YouTube channel, my head's in the way. Let me get my head out of the way here. But if you look 2008 until present time, look what my channel did. Really didn't do anything. I started about 2 years after YouTube started making videos. Look at that flat line. But what did I do? I just put one foot in front of the other. I kept making videos. Now, I didn't make as many videos as I'm making now, and I didn't have the quality equipment or the quality videos or the more of an insight into YouTube, but I basically didn't have much going on for me at all. By the way, that line that you're seeing, I think that represents subscribers. I don't know if that represents subscribers or income, but nonetheless, it's kind of the same. You can see that didn't do much for a long time. Between 2008 and about 2019, it's flatlined. That's when most people give up and say, this is dumb, stupid, I don't want to do it anymore. This is a waste of time. But if you hang in there long enough, doing something over and over again, and that includes beekeeping, eventually something can gain traction for you and help you out a lot. Now, if you think about this as well, 4 things that took me not 10 years, but 20 years to learn is this. Pay attention to this. The most difficult mission on earth is to focus on your dreams and to believe in yourself, because the easiest thing to do is to complain. So it's very difficult to focus on your dreams. A lot of times you focus on other people's dreams. You want to help them achieve, but you have dreams, and these dreams are the only thing standing in the way. I mean, this idea of you becoming successful, if you want to call it success, and I don't mean money, I just mean doing something you enjoy, is there's something in the way of you walking toward your dreams. And that's probably you maybe being critical of yourself, complaining about how you're not good enough, complaining about how you don't have the right things to pursue those dreams. If I want to tell you, Beak Squad, pursue those dreams. If your dream is to have 10 more hives next year, work toward that dream. Don't complain. Don't criticize yourself, but work toward that dream. Because investing in yourself, I believe, is the best investment you can ever make, because nobody is going to invest in you. I mean, I'm sorry to say that, but you're the only person that really believes in yourself. Of all the cheerleaders, of all the people that can really help you succeed, guess who that is? Yeah, it's you. It's you. Other people, as you continue to pursue your dreams and start succeeding in dream fulfillment, other people are going to pull you down. Other people are going to criticize you. Other people are going to make fun of you. And so you can easily give up. So only you are the one that can hold yourself up and pursue those dreams, whatever they may be. Can I be a beekeeper? You might be asking. You might be watching saying, I don't know if I can be a beekeeper. Of course you can be a beekeeper. You just have to learn and gain the skill and knowledge to be a better beekeeper every year. So, getting what you want, if you want to call it that, pursuing something that's a dream is sort of like getting what you want, means that you have to dream about it. You have to want it. You have to taste it. You have to work hard for it, but you have to believe in yourself. And that's one of the things that I learned about beekeeping and my YouTube channel here is I need to focus on my dreams. I need to believe in myself and stop listening always to the critics or people that want to complain. And I need to stop complaining too. I mean, I'll tell you what, I can complain all day long. I made a video today and I just released it. I'll get back to this. I want to show you what it says. But this video I released today is get rid of these now. That's my new video that I released today. If you haven't watched it, it just came out an hour or two ago. So watch it after this live stream. But here's what happened. I was out there filming and wow, I was so discouraged because failed in having my microphone. Oh, no, I didn't. I had the microphone on me and it was recording, but I failed to keep it charged. And when I went out there halfway through like a 2-hour filming, the battery in my transmitter died, microphone transmitter. I had to come back in, take the footage, overlay the voice on just the video. It took me a lot longer. And so, you can complain and you can criticize and kind of feel like, oh, this is terrible. I'm just going to say, screw this video. I'll make it some other day. I thought about that. Maybe I don't want to publish this today. I'll just do it over again. But I couldn't do it over because I'd already done everything I needed to on that hive. And it was really hard work. Thank you guys for all the super chats or super thanks that you're super chats. And yeah, I appreciate that a lot. So believe in yourself. I really think it's important. The third thing that took me 10 or 20 years to learn is change is the only constant. And how you react to that change is what really matters. Now, when I got into beekeeping, I had a dream. If you read some of my blogs, I actually wrote a blog back early on, 2006, I think I started. And I was new to beekeeping. I didn't know up from down, but I was blogging about my ignorance. And one of the things I had a dream of doing was making a living, supporting my family by honey, selling enough honey to make a living. Now that is an ambitious dream because back then honey didn't bring much money, a pound at all compared to what it does now. Shoot, it might've been $1, I think, a pound or something like that. And it wasn't much. What a dream. I mean, I really believed I could do that. I had a bunch of hives and I was just trying to get started buying out. I bought out a commercial beekeeper, had a bunch of hives, thought I could really make a living on honey. Then I found that if I produced queens, I could make more money selling queens. And it was more sure because honey production really depends on, the nectar flow that year. Then I thought about selling packages, and we still do that. So I started selling packages of bees, but I can't make a living on once a year sales of packages. But then we have always made beekeeping equipment from buying semi-loads of wood and cutting the wood, making hives. We even made our own frames. Can you believe that? Popped in the foundations and we painted it. We were one of the first companies to ever produce an assembled painted beehive. when we started. Most people then were still assembling everything after they bought it. And then I moved forward into online beekeeping courses. We started doing online courses. We introduced and created feeding systems that all of you are very fond of, and feeding supplies, additives, and then YouTube content creation. So the whole bee operation changed because as we grew, we scratched out honey producer. That's not going to work. We scratched out queen producer. I had to learn, and Sherry really helped me, having a degree in business. Sherry helped me realize you need to focus on what you enjoy and what's most profitable for you as a beekeeper and is most helpful to others. Now, profitable doesn't always mean money. Profitable means health, time, what's going to leave you more time to live. You don't want to work yourself to death and you have no time to enjoy life. So I don't mean just profit, but what's more profitable? It is a business. A business has to make a profit or you're not a business. So profit is part of that. But these things really weren't generating the kind of profit once you count your labor and your supplies and all that. Package B wasn't making us a ton of money. Beekeeping equipment was, that's a funny thing. It sounds like you're going to make a lot of money selling hives, woodenware, but all you do is get enough money to buy the next load of wood and the next load of frames. I tell you, that's tough to make a living selling beekeeping equipment, woodenware. So we focused on some things that were more manageable for us as we aged through the beekeeping world and time. And that was online beekeeping courses, our feeders that we still make and fill, and the YouTube content. And so those things really did take me 20 years to figure out. And I think it took me 20 years to figure out is just because, I'm stubborn sometimes. And I just always want to be the one that has my finger on everything. And all it did was turn my hair gray, and it caused me to work myself to death and all my family. Now, do I feel like I shouldn't have done that? Not at all. All big things have small beginnings. It's just a process of learning. And I needed all that experience in doing all of that so that it helps me today serve you. And one of the things that it said in my last screenshot there I had in my presentation was that I wanted to be a benefit to other people. I didn't want to just work for myself. So that's why I went to YouTube to create content for you guys. That's why I went to online beekeeping courses. That's why I do the Master Beekeeper program, is to help people know more about beekeeping. So that took me 20 years, believe it or not, to figure it out. I hope it doesn't take you that long. And so today you might be able to say, I can skip some of these hard knocks of experience of learning a little bit. Some of it you need, but maybe not all of it. So don't work yourself. If you're trying to run a bee business or start a bee business, be careful that you don't kill yourself doing it, or worse, that you live a miserable life trying to do it. A lot worse things than death. And that is living a miserable life where you just can't enjoy life anymore because, you're working so hard. I want you to pursue your dreams. I really do. I think that's important. And you got to see it. You got to see it in your mind, your head. But I'm going to add one more to this. Are you ready? I think one of the important things in all of the beekeeping world and every aspect of our lives is that we need to be kind to people. You can really go so far in life if you are kind to people. I think we need to love other people. I think we need to respect other people. And I think we need to have a way of finding the joy deep down within us to enjoy each life. But if you can't be a kind person, if you can't love others, and if you can't be compassionate toward other people, that can be kind of a hard life to live. And I know some of you might be struggling with that. I'm amazed at the people that I see in the world that don't have any compassion, kindness, or respect at all toward mankind. We're beekeepers. Look at the colony. all the bees in the colony, a single organism, they respect each other. They all have their different jobs. They work together. And it's time that we understand that and apply it to our own lives. We're the single organism of humanity, and we have to work together like bees and get along and work together to make it a happy place to live. We need to stop being so critical, judgmental, harsh, disrespectful. When did all this start happening? I don't know. But, when I was raised, I want to be old fashioned on you here now, but my dad raised me, my mom and dad, but my dad raised me. And he told me like this: when you walk into a room, David, and you see somebody there, you go up to them and you say hello, you stick your hand out, and you look them right in the eyes and you shake their hand. That's what my dad taught me to do. I do that today. People think I'm crazy if I try to shake their hand. They don't understand that. And my dad taught me open doors for other people. He said, and back then, he'd say, if you see a woman walking up to a door, open a door for a woman. That's what and my dad taught me. And he taught me that if you're sitting in a chair in a room, like a waiting room or something, and a person older than you walks in and there's no chair, get up out of that chair and offer them your chair. Now, my dad taught me that. I was raised in the South, and my dad taught me that. And I still do that today because I just can't help not do it. I don't do it because my dad's going to hit me. He's not around anymore. But I do it because it seems like the right thing to do is to put other people ahead of yourself and help out. So that's another word to help you realize how to be a successful person in the world, is to learn how to help others. All right, that's enough of my soapbox. You're probably getting bored of me talking now. But that's how I'm kind of wired to go through life. And even with me and Sherry, we have a great marriage. We love each other. And I always like to wake up. I like to shower. I like to put on some good clothes. I like to look at this nice shirt. I wore shirts like this when I was in school, believe it or not. I was a nerd or something. I had one of those pocket things with all the pencils in it. Other people had blue jeans and t-shirts. I dressed like this, but it was fun. Wow. Okay. What time are we at now? We're about 7:30. So thank you guys for being a part of B Team, or not B Team 6, but Beak Squad. By the way, B Team 6, my mentorship program, is filled all the way up to here. We had to cancel taking new subscribers to B Team 6. I'm sorry. So if you made it in there, congratulations. There may be, as we get further into winter, openings may open up, but right now B Team 6 is at its max. So those of you that are on tonight, part of B Team 6, I see a lot of you out there, part of B Team 6. Thank you. And I'm always glad to help you guys. It's a mentoring program where I answer beekeepers' questions through emails, do the best I can. But thank you for being a part of this live stream, which is Beak Squad. It's not B Team 6. It's for anybody to be a part of our Thursday night. We just call you Beak Squad. All right, I'm wired up and ready to answer some of your awesome questions. And apparently, I'm a poor reader when I'm trying to read the screen here. Christina, 2 of my hives were knocked over this past Saturday during a storm. There were a lot of dead bees after I put the hives back together. What should I do to ensure the recovery quickly? Bloomfield, Indiana. Really? Wow. I'm sorry to hear about that, Christina. You know what? That's happened to me a lot of times too. We've had some pretty big storms throughout central Illinois here, and a few times it's either knocked lids off. I had one of the lids fall off. I think it was last year. I didn't know it for a long time. It was like 5 or 6 days, and I believe most of the bees died just getting rained on. But here's what you need to do. You need to go out there as soon as you can, put Humpty Dumpty back together again as best you can. Suit up, smoke up, because they might be a little agitated. Thank you, Megan, for your super sticker. And just put the hive back together. I think that's important. And then you can wait maybe a couple of weeks to go in and see if your queen's okay, or if they can raise another queen. It's pretty tough on a hive to be knocked over. Honey gets all over everything. Too much honey on the bees in the wrong places can get on their spiracles and suffocate them. So you need to check your bees and make sure your queen's okay. They can kind of clean things up and get going again if the queen's all right. That's a good question. I'm sorry to hear that. We've had some bad storms around here as well. What is your experience on single deep hive management? I don't do a lot of it because I'm too fearful of my winters. We've had times in Illinois on the prairie here, we can have 20 below zero Fahrenheit chill factor. We can have the temperature be 20 below, and it can last for a month where it never gets above freezing. But what little experience I have has been successful. And a lot of people are practicing a single deep in the north and very successful at doing it. Please just know this. It's going to have to be something you're going to have to try. You live in a unique place. You have unique beekeeping skills or a lack thereof. You're not going to know the answer to this until you apply your knowledge and your skills to the single deep hive management approach. See how it goes. Now, a lot of our viewers that are watching tonight might live, in the deep south, and everybody in the deep south, most people run single deeps because the winters aren't that long. But we need a lot of bees in the north to be hot enough to make it through the winter. Give her a try, see how it goes. That's all you can do. Yep, good question. Hey, Jason, I have a weak hive, only have one. I have a weak hive, only have one. Can I make it stronger? I'm in Arkansas. Arkansas, yay. I was born in Arkansas. I was born in Forest City, Arkansas, just not too far over the border from Memphis. So yeah, can you make a weak hive getting stronger? Absolutely. Here's how you do it. First of all, make sure you have a good queen in there that can lay really well. And then you need to feed, and feed. I would feed from the top, a top feeder. I would reduce my entrance very small so you don't have robbers. Feed from the top. And then I would feed with additives added to my sugar water. I would feed 1-to-1 sugar water, not 2-to-1, 1-to-1. And I would add amino bee booster, honeybee healthy, and protein powder, protein substitute powder, a teaspoon of each of those per 1 quart of 1-to-1 sugar water. And keep feeding them until you run out of money or winter gets here. That's the best way to make a go at it right there, Jason. Good luck to you. Yeah. A lot of weak hives out there in the fall that is challenging for a lot of beekeepers. I get it. Hello, Gene. How are you? David, how will a feral hive affect my hive? There's a feral hive a few blocks from my house. Will it rob from my hive? That's a good question, Gene. Feral hives, in case you're unfamiliar with that term, no, some of you don't know everything. You're new to beekeeping, but a feral hive just means a wild hive, maybe in a tree or something like that. And so since that hive is out there, it might be so strong that it might find Gene's hive and start robbing it because it knows it has stored honey in there. That's what animals do getting ready for winter. And so, Gene, I would say if you have a strong colony and you've got the entrance reduced or a robber screen on there, then if it's a strong hive, they'll probably keep their nose out of your business. Let's put it that way. They could still try to rob you, so be careful. But I would say it probably they won't really compete that much. Like you said, it's robbing that you want to be careful of. Robber screen it just to be safe, and just keep an eye on it. Make sure they're not being robbed out. That's important for sure. Good question. Michael Smith. How will I know it's time to take off the robbing screen and put on the mouse guard? Yeah, that's a good question. Here's an easy way that I know. This is going to be like, I need bells to go da 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 ding 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 ding. Okay, when you have your first big frost, all the flowers out there are kind of killed off and it starts cooling off. Bees just aren't going to rob too much and forage too much. They'll stop wanting to forage the cooler it gets at night, a hard freeze. They'll just kind of give up. So you just have to keep an eye on it when foraging is just done. But it's going to be rough the next few weeks everywhere because foraging dearths are starting to happen. Bees are starting to make one last effort to rob some stuff out. But you need to put your mouse guard on before they start harvesting the fields, is what I say. I'm around a lot of fields, and I don't want mice to run into my nice colonies after the nights get cold. So mouse guards are important. Good question, Michael. Like that. Marianne Livingston. When is the best time to move hives? Would like to move only a few feet apart. I think, Marianne, if you can move them a few feet apart by moving them 6 inches a day, you can do it anytime, 6 inches a day. Otherwise, wait until winter to do it. That's going to help you a lot. Absolutely. Yep. Randall Lane, David, been feeding my bees sugar water. How long should I keep feeding? Thanks for everything you do for the beekeeping community. Randall, keep feeding your bees as long as your pocketbook has money in it. I know it's not cheap, depending on how many bees you have, but as long as they're taking it, it's good to feed bees. It really is. You can keep an eye on what they're storing, and if they're raising new bees in winter physiology, keep an eye on all that. But I keep feeding my bees. I'm going to start really ramping up feeding here in just a jiffy. But I'm going to feed them all the way until probably it gets very cold at night. I think we had 49 degrees Fahrenheit last time, maybe. But, they won't really eat the sugar water from the top once the temperature gets 50 degrees Fahrenheit or less in the daytime. Yep, good question. Okay. My bees put vert comb connecting frames between boxes. Vertical comb? Yeah. That makes it very difficult to inspect hives. Everything is glued together, honey making a mess when I pull frames from vertical bridge. Well, a lot of times what happens there is that for some reason the frames aren't pushed together tightly. And if that happens, then what you can experience is a gap. And that gap means that the bees will build some connective comb. Perhaps that's what's going on. Vertical, I guess you mean like columns, big columns. Sometimes I don't always have the best of foundation. I use some old foundation that I've had stored, and it got kind of dirty, or I didn't have enough wax on it or something. So always start with new foundation each year, wax more wax on it, and that might help a lot. There's no easy way to solve that mess. It's happened to me, so I know what you're going through. You pull a frame up, honey goes everywhere, gets on the bees, starts dripping out, excites the robber bees. It's a mess. Sometimes it's better just not mess with it and hope the bees move up off of it during the winter up into the top boxes, and then you can start dealing with it in the spring when it's more empty. I know that's really tough. Get that. Oh, Tom, how are you? Hey, thanks for your donation, Tom. Wow, I appreciate that. Love the coffee time. Love the coffee time flavor tonight. Yeah, did you get that? I got a little philosophical there. Have a great ability for expressing your wisdom. Thank you. And you've changed my life for the better with your classes, mentor program. Everything I've learned from you panned out great. You are a cool guy. Well, Tom, you are a cool guy, and I'm glad that you're following my teachings on beekeeping, and it's good to hear that things that you're doing that I'm sharing with you have really helped you. They've panned out. That's good. That really warms my heart. I appreciate it. And you're a great guy as well, Tom. Appreciate it. Appreciate that a lot. All right, James, do you have a worry about bees becoming Africanized? No. When I first started beekeeping, I did, because I thought, maybe it could happen. No, it's not going to happen. Africanized bees are kind of following the same geographical line as the fire ants, and they're not really making a good progress up north like we think. A lot of people, it's kind of like one of those gloom and doom philosophers that, prophets that say, yikes, we're all going to die from Africanized bees. They've been saying that a long time. And, about the only way we're going to get some in Illinois is if maybe somebody brings some Africanized bees, driving through or something, and all at once they just fall off a trailer. But no, it just doesn't. I guess if you live in the deep South or out West or something, yeah, I'd be concerned. I'd always have my bee inspector take samples of my bees, regular samples, and have them tested for Africanized genetics. And I think I would always, if you're raising queens, you would always want to be careful then. Africanized bees have a way of beating out our bees in reproduction. So you can have them take over a hive pretty easy. So it depends on where you live. So maybe you do have to worry, James, if you live in Arizona or someplace where there are Africanized bees. Absolutely. Meet with your Department of Ag, DNR, talk to them, follow their protocol. A lot of places like that, you can't raise queens because of that problem. You can't do certain things with bees because of the threat of Africanized bees taking over your regular hives. Keep your queens marked at all times so that you can know that's the queen that you started with and she's still there. So she's not going to become Africanized if she has a mark on her and she wasn't to start with. I hope those are some pointers for you there, James. Brad Marshall. I know a Brad Marshall. Oh, I know Brad Marshall lives in Northern Illinois. He's a good friend, but this is a Brad Marshall now, a good friend in Southern Illinois. I know Brad Marshalls all across the state of Illinois, apparently. So, Brad, how are you doing? You live in Southern Illinois. When should I pull my honey super frames? It doesn't matter if you live in Northern Illinois, Southern Illinois. Pull those honey supers when they are capped over or the moisture level through a refractometer is below 18, 19, 20%. You want to get it as low as possible. 16, 17, 18 is ideal. That way you don't have the threat of the honey spoiling or becoming fermented in the jar. Too much moisture and too much yeast, natural yeast, can cause the honey to ferment, and your customers buy it in a month. Customers don't eat as much honey as beekeepers do. It may take them a year to eat that 8-ounce jar of honey. And if it's got yeast and too much water, it's going to turn into vinegar, and they're not going to be happy. So use a $30 refractometer. That's helpful. Thank you to David and Sherry for the content you provide. I just ordered your online course. Can't wait to dig in. Well, Edward, that's very kind of you. I appreciate you ordering our online courses. Yeah, I appreciate that a lot. Good luck, and I hope you enjoy those courses. Hey, Neil, can you merge 2 weak hives using a screen instead of newspaper method, then remove the screen after 2 or 3 days? Actually, I was reading from this book today, studies that have been done regarding the very question that you just asked. So buy the book and you'll find out. No, I'll tell you. And so what they found in the studies were that the queen pheromone actually is volatile, and it goes through the screen. And it gets transferred by touch, and it gets transferred just by location, the vapors. And so, yes, that probably would work. Absolutely. I'm going with thumbs up on that one. Try it out and let me know for sure, though. Nothing's ever 100%, right? Thank you, Marianne. I appreciate your super sticker a lot. Wonderful. Combining weak hives is something that we have to do in the spring sometimes. Hello, David. I'm a week-old beekeeper. Well, I can hear you crying for your bottle. You need your diaper changed. You're a week old. Wow. I had a swarm on my lawn and got my hand on a used nuke from a local. Oh, I see. You got to start with the nucleus. Should I start treatment for mites already, or am I going to be good until next season? Well, I don't know where you live, what your climate's like. If you're in the climate that I'm in, I could not start a nuke this late in the year. It'd be tough to get it built up. Thank you, EL, for that super sticker. But I think you have room to, probably it sounds like you're going to be able to build that hive up a little bit. A 5-frame nucleus, if that's what you have, they still can have mites. They can have a lot of mites in proportion to the number of bees because they came out of a big hive that may have had mites. So test. Listen, everybody, I want you to listen closely. Always test for mites. I did a video yesterday and showed you my special way of getting those bees in my little test cup and testing them. And we only had 2 mites out of 300. So always test. Then you know if you need to treat. And then look, I want to tell you this. Everybody, please listen. Stop what you're doing. Pull over on the side of the road or whatever. Pay attention. Look, a lot of you want to use a lot of treatments. There's Formic Pro, made that video yesterday. There's Apiguard, Apalive, HopGuard 2, oxalic acid, a whole bunch of others that that aren't coming to mind. But if you choose to use a treatment, I want you to be the one that's responsible to, number one, decide what treatment you want to use. That treatment choice is based on the number of bees you have in that hive, the temperature you have in your climate when you're going to be treating, because all of these are different, the time of that you have to treat. Some take 42 days, some take 7 or 14 days. And then you need to think about your honey supers. Are you going to be able to leave the supers off, leave them on? So you have to make all this decision. Please stop depending on, excuse me, I'm getting all choked up. Please stop depending on other people or other FaceTime groups to tell you how to use these chemicals and how to do it. Don't do that. I want you to learn, and I want you to follow the label, because the label is the law. And if you violate the label, it can not only be illegal, it's a federal offense, but it can also damage your honey, make it toxic to eat. It can kill your bees. It can infect your bees or cause them to have problems. It can infect your comb. It gets absorbed in the comb. Don't just think, a lot of you wouldn't take medicine that way. You're not going to call up your grandma and say, hey, do you have any amoxicillin or something? You still got some left over from when you had a sore throat or something. I may take that, And then you wouldn't call a friend and say, hey, should I cut 500 milligrams down to 200 milligrams? We just know you can't do stuff like that. And so bees are the same way. They're an animal. You need to think about the treatment and follow that label. The label is the law. Wow, that felt good to say. Whew. Backyard living. One hive is queenless. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. They raised the queen and she is missing. A week later, I put a frame of eggs and brood in, and they redrew another queen. Have I waited too long to requeen? Well, it sounds like they're raising a new queen. I think I would hold course and see if they can raise this queen. I think you see another queen cell is what you're looking at. As long as there's drones in your area, I had drones in my hives today when I was inspecting, so they can still get mated, but you might want to think about buying a mated queen to save the day as well. Hard to tell. Those are tough. That's right on the line. When you're right on the line between maybe not, take the safest route. So if it's too late for you where you live to get the queen raised and get queens mated with drones that are kind of less drones now, might be better to get a mated queen if you can find one. That's a good question, though. Absolute good question. Oh, thank you for your donation of $5. Appreciate that. Hi, David. We got a boost of new flowers from Hillary. Am I reading that right? Would this be considered a fall flow, or is still one to come? Oh, Southern California. Okay. Yeah. You know what? I think that if you're getting a boost, a lot of us are going to get a boost from some of the, is Hillary, is that like a tropical storm? Yeah. I think that was a tropical storm, right? It wasn't the hurricane though. So anyway, yeah, I was like, who's Hillary? Why didn't she bring me any flowers? Hillary should have brought my wife some flowers, right? I made a video today. Keep that comment up there. I made a video today, and my daughter took me to a nice place that they have a lot of very exquisite olive oil. And so I bought a really nice jar of olive oil for Sherry, brought it home, has a nice little, you'll see it in my video. Well, I'm out there today and I show it. I admitted in my video, if you watch that video, you see me say, don't tell Sherry that I took her nice extra virgin olive oil to fill up my beetle traps with it. I only did actually 1 or 2 traps, so it wasn't like I was an idiot. But anyway, so I'm upstairs and Sherry over the intercom, she said, I'm editing that video today. Sherry over the intercom says, David, did you do something with my olive oil? And I'm like, yes, I poured it in small hang beetle traps. And then she was nice and she said, okay, but that's a nice bottle. We can get that refilled. Do you know where the bottle is? Oh, yep. It's outdoors on the back of my beekeeping golf cart. I am so bad to Sherry. Shame on me. Slap my hand. Sherry needs a bottle of extra virgin olive oil. That was a very expensive bottle too, but I paid for it. So with my money, Sherry. Anyway, yeah, if you've got a little fall flow there still to come, that's probably going to help those flowers a lot. They'll get a boost from real nectar from the flowers. Yep. Hope everything went well with Hillary going through. Yep. Oh, here's another question. Let me check my time. Oh, we got about 10 minutes left. Good, good. Hi, David. I still have a super on the hive that is not fully capped over, and I would like to pull it off to prepare for winter. What do I do with the uncapped frames? Thank you from Southwest Michigan. By the way, when I was reading the last comment about Hillary, I could see Sherry, and she was doing this. What would you say if somebody was going like this? I mean, like Hillary. What is Hillary? You weren't helping me, you know. Sherry helps me read the comments, and we need better sign language. Okay, so prepare for winter. You got this. Yeah, I'm making a video about this. What do I do with the uncapped? I have a couple of beekeeping YouTube content creators. When I make a video, the next day they make the same video. They may jump on this and get it before I get it out there. I don't care, whatever. But what do I do with uncapped frames of honey, right? I don't like to leave them on there. If I don't have 10 frames, or at least 8 frames, drawn out and capped over in my honey super, I'm not leaving that on there for winter. Why? If it's partially capped or there's not many frames that are not capped, I don't like to leave it on there because bees may move up into it. Always remove the queen excluder before you go into winter, or the queen can't get up there and they'll desert her. So I want to get that honey super off unless it's filled all the way. Now, what do you do if you take it off partially filled? A lot of people don't like my answer because they don't have this kind of equipment. Number one, take the super off, freeze it for 3 days in a big freezer. People say, I don't have a big freezer. Find a friend that's got a big freezer. You can buy these big chest freezers for $50. I got mine for free. But put it in a freezer. That way you kill all the bad pathogens and just leave it in there till spring. That's the best way to do it. If you don't have a freezer, another way you can do it and is to kind of store it in a nice, cool, bug-free area that's not very humid. That's going to be important as well. So you don't want bugs and things. But if you don't freeze it, you have the risk of small hive beetle eggs, wax moth eggs to kind of tear it up. But don't take these partially filled frames of honey and bag them, because they're going to mold and mildew and be terrible. They won't be worth anything. So try to store them in a nice place. Well, thank you, Sherry, for your nice donation. I really appreciate that. How accurate are sticky boards for mic checking? I love this question. I love this question. I love this question so much. I don't think they're accurate. Number one, just because mites are falling off doesn't necessarily give you any other information other than that many mites fell down, right? So they just lost their grip and fell down. It doesn't really tell you much. And if they're not falling off because they're hanging on really good, and you look at the sticky board and it's nobody down there, you feel like you're mite free. But you just have mites that are hanging on good. So it's deceptive. No, I don't like it at all. It's all we had in the beginning. Kind of worked, but I don't like it. Most people today don't find it to be accurate. And nothing like an alcohol wash. Did you see the alcohol wash I did the other day, yesterday, in that video, 2 mites? Watch that video. It's very effective. Yeah. So sticky boards, I don't like that much. Use them in the beginning, but that's it. Hi, Brenda. How are you? First-year beekeeper. Welcome. Way to go, Brenda. Glad you're a first-year beekeeper. Don't let anybody tell you that you're not the best for being a one-year beekeeper. I watch your videos often, so much to learn. I made so many mistakes this year, but I'm not giving up. Thank you for encouraging words. Oh, I want to screenshot that. That is so wonderful, Brenda. You'll never become a good beekeeper until you mess up a lot, is my philosophy. Really, nobody wants to mess up. You don't go out there, wake up and say, how can I mess up today? But you never learn so much as when you mess up. Really, a beekeeper that has never made a mistake, never had a problem, never had pests or diseases to work with, never had a hive blown over in the storm, you know, I don't know. They don't know as much, I don't think. You gotta have some really tough things happen. Then you learn. You learn more when you're emotionally attached. When your emotions get involved with it, you really learn. You remember things better. All right, Brenda, way to go. I'm proud of you, Brenda. Not giving up. I like that attitude. Yeah. Yeah. Hey, Marianne, is there a way to know if bees in the hive are of winter physiology? Some of my drones are enormous. Yeah, we don't really see drones becoming drones of winter physiology. Only a few drones over winter with the bees, sometimes not at all. So they just don't want drones in the hive because they eat too much. They don't do anything, but sit around and eat. So they kick them out. No way to tell really winter bees of winter physiology. There's no way to know. I wish there was. I wish they had a special color to them. My gosh, I wish they did, but no. No way to know. You just have to go by when they're being raised. If you see a cap frame today, those are bees of winter physiology. Absolutely. So when they emerge, you can mark them a different color than this year's color, and then you'll see them in the spring. But that's a lot of work too. Yeah. Good question, though. You guys have been so kind tonight for the donations. I'm going to have to take a little bit of those donations and refill Sherry's extra virgin olive oil. Hey, Cliff, Cleveland. I have a first year hive with 2 cap supers. Let me think about that. Should I leave both for winter? We harvested 2 frames a few weeks ago and they filled and capped them up again. 2 brood boxes. Well, Cliff, you didn't say where you lived. So I don't know if you live in the north like I do. I would say you're probably pretty safe to pull one of those off if there's honey in that deep box too. So bees are going to do pretty good with your 40 or 50 pounds in that one honey super. But if you want to play it safe, you could leave them both off. I want to change that. Nah, let's take one of them off. I don't like overwintering in 4 boxes. That's in the north, 4 boxes, that's a lot more area for heat to go up. Tighter boxes, the heat in the cluster stays warmer. I'd pull a super if it's ready, enjoy it, store it like I talked about earlier. And then even with the super on, use the winter bee kinds to keep feeding them in the wintertime. Oh, that's a good question. I like that. Oh, I want to remind you guys, we have merchandise. We have the Black Beak Squad t-shirts, and there's the link if you want to follow the Beak Squad merchandise, coffee mugs, shirts, and all that. We're going to be at Cayman Reynolds conference called the North America Honeybee Expo in Louisville this year. And it'd be great to see you guys wearing that Beak Squad shirt. We could all hang out and have a big picture taken together. That'd be fun. And so I'm looking forward to speaking. All the content creators on beekeeping are going to be with Cayman on January the 4th, 5th, and 6th. And again, it's called the North American Honeybee Expo in Louisville. And so be sure to mark your calendars. I'd like to see all of you guys there. I'll be speaking. Bob Beanie, all the people that you're used to seeing are going to be there. So check that out. Do a search on Google for it, and you'll enjoy that conference coming up. And don't forget on September the 14th for Bee Informed Partnership with Eric and Anne Marie, going to be telling us about the Bee Informed Partnership and what they do and how important their work is. That's going to be neat. We need to think outside the box sometimes of just our 1 little, 2 little hives and all the trouble we're having keeping them queen right and such. So be sure and be there. And then don't forget that on September the 7th, I'm so getting confused on these dates, but on September the 7th, yeah, that's right. I'm going to have Dr. David Peck with us on the live stream, and we're just going to sit around and have a good time talking about bees. And you'll really enjoy Dr. David Peck and what he has to tell us and share that as well. So that's coming up next week, right? Yeah, next week. So that'd be a fun time. So mark your calendars for sure. A lot of good stuff coming up. All right. Well, we've got 1 minute left. So this is going to be a moment for me to tell you guys how much I appreciate all of you, how much I enjoy what you mean to me as a content creator in beekeeping. You motivate me to continue to go out there and make videos to help you guys out. I love you guys. You mean a lot. And I hope my passion for bees and my knowledge of bees is helping you. and encouraging you, and also encouraging you in life. Life is sometimes a struggle. Life never ceases to be a struggle, but you just got to put one foot in the other, cowboy up and get her done. It's not always pretty. Sometimes it's messy, but we got to get it done, and we will. So let's be strong no matter what you're going through today. No matter what bees go through, they go through rains, they go through cold weather, hot weather, they go through varmints and pests and diseases. They still put one foot in front of the other five, and they try to get it done. That's what we're going to do too. Okay, all of you with me, and adhere to the 4 points that I shared with you earlier. And especially, I want you to be bold in pursuing your dreams. Stop being mean to yourself. Stop talking negatively to yourself. Be bold. Love yourself. Be encouraged. Love others. Be kind to others. We can make this happen, guys. It's going to be good. So thank you, Sherry and Jessica, so much for helping us out tonight. I appreciate you guys a lot. And thank you all for being here and making this a wonderful night together. And man, I just had a lot of good time. I'm going to see you guys next week. Thank you for coming.